Yeah, so thanks for joining us today. We are going to share with you a presentation about bots and how they are getting smarter. You probably have seen this little bot disclaimer, right? Click to make sure that you're a human. So last summer at CDS, we were designing a survey. So we were really hoping optimistically to get around 400 responses. If we had gotten to 400, we would have been like thrilled, right? We offered an incentive, a $20 gift card for participation for completing the survey, which we hoped would motivate people to do it. Just take a few minutes. This is what happened. Within 12 hours, overnight, we had over 1,500 responses. And it was very clear that we had been the victim of a bot attack. For those of you who have worked in online survey work before, bots taking surveys is nothing new. However, the volume and the intensity of this attack was something that I had never experienced before, and no one at CDS had experienced before either. Bots are malicious software applications that are programmed to complete automated tasks. So there are bots that are programmed to fill out surveys online to receive compensation. So offering any sort of incentive, like a gift card, will attract more bots to a survey. So they're programmed to look through social media, they'll look through other websites, and keywords like gift card, reward, prize, survey, right? Any of those things could attract a bot. They're also programmed to complete surveys in a manner to mimic a genuine human respondent. They're getting better and better at this. Up until very recently, were effective. However, in the last year or so, artificial intelligence, or AI, has made significant progress. I'm not an AI expert, so I'm not going to talk about that technology, but I will talk about its effects on data. So we know now that survey bots can easily bypass these CAPTCHA systems, even the new ones, and even the ones that places like Google are coming out with. And I know this because I did a Google search. So after we shut down the survey, we talked to a bunch of other people in the field about how we could deter bots better, with CAPTCHAs, without. And one of the things that I kept coming up to consistently was that CAPTCHAs are no longer sufficient, right? The second recommendation that people were saying was that you needed to include filters in your survey, and the examples given were things like this question. However, this did not work. We turned the survey back on and had another 1,000 responses within a few hours. So I was shocked at this point. So I've done a lot of online surveys, and I had never had this volume of responses before, like I said. And I also was starting to realize that the bots were a lot smarter than the ones I had countered before. And so it was really difficult to figure out, okay, like how do we deal with these bots then if they're this smart, if they're taking the context into account, if they're making themselves really look like they're a human responding in terms of their responses, their response times, etc. So I just want to take you through the initial filtering that we did to try to figure out what was going on with this data, because I think it really kind of cues you into how smart these bots are. Bots were smart enough to put in a Hawaiian zip code, and sometimes you're smart enough to mask with a Hawaiian IP address. However, we were able to match the zip code where someone was living to the island where they were saying where they were living, and sometimes that did not match. The bots were not quite that smart. So it's important to have variables like that you can pair together to make sure that this is corresponding, it's adding up right. And these are some of the solutions that we came up with. So the first is a survey password. So this question asked for a password, and this was a password that we added to our promotional flyers, and we also changed the password depending on which community partner was disseminating that information, so we could track where people were being referred from. So this was not, like, you didn't get kicked out of the survey if you entered the wrong password. This was a variable that we could filter through later. This worked well. But we had concerns about accessibility, especially because we were hoping to reach people with disabilities, right? We also upped our filter question game quite considerably, and we did this by adding fake response options to many of the questions in our survey. So these are the responses that logically could be an answer, but that we knew were impossible. For an example, this question asks about where people found out about the survey. So there are a couple of filters built in here. We didn't put up any flyers in libraries or coffee shops. So if that was clicked, we knew it was a bot. And we also invented the Teen Voice Conference. That didn't exist, so if someone clicked that, we knew it wasn't real. And we sprinkled many of these fake responses throughout the survey. It wasn't just this one question, it was throughout the entire thing. And those became a game changer in filtering out bot data. Okay, another thing we did was we rehomed the survey to REDCap. So REDCap is an online platform designed for researchers. It's open access. And we compared its features to SurveyMonkey, Qualtrics, and other online survey platforms. And we chose REDCap because it has a lot of features that are really nice for filtering these things out. It has a built-in CAPTCHA function. So for that frontline defense against those dumb bots, right, like it's getting out some of those. But it also makes it really easy to build and maintain databases and data dictionaries. So as people are responding to your survey, it's getting automatically entered into a database. That makes it really easy with these filter questions and filter variables to filter them out later, rather than continually exporting your data from a survey system and continually applying the same filters. And lastly, it allows for IP tracking of respondents, and it stores this information separately from the survey responses, which allows for easy de-identification. So our recommendations are to consider using REDCap in your first step when you're thinking about survey design. It's a really flexible research tool. It's free. We asked our department, the College of Education, to set up a REDCap server for us. There's one at JABSOM, but it's really easy to set up internally in your own department if you're interested in using it. The second recommendation is prepare for bots. They're out there now, and they're really smart, and they're going to find your surveys, and so you have to be really proactive. So from the get-go, build in these multiple filters and create these filter sets, use survey passwords, track IP addresses, do everything you can preemptively to try to make your data filterable to find these genuine responses.